The Gemara Baba Basra, Daf Kuf Tes and Kuf Yud. Moshe Rabeinu had a grandson. A lot of people have kids who are off the derech, grandchildren off the derech. We know that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's grandson was off the derech. There are a lot of people of kids and grandchildren off the derech. But Moshe Rabeinu also had a grandson, Yehona's son, who went completely off the derech. Imagine Moshe Rabeinu. And the extent of how bad he went was that he shmad. He was a priest for the idol worshippers. And in those days, now everybody says shaygits, ki'ilu eved avodah zarah. In those days, they had real avodah zarah. And he was a kaimer. He was a priest. He worked for them. He worked for the other side. Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson. Mitoch she'asa ma'aseh Menashe, talu akasav Menashe. They called him the grandson of Menashe instead of Moshe Rabeinu because he acted like the famous wicked King Menashe. And that's how bad he was. So he was Yonason ben Gershon ben Menashe. So what do you do with this kid, with this guy? What could you do to bring him back? So it's fascinating. He must have been very old and lived very long, because the Gemara tells us how we got him back on the derech. Dovid Hamelech got him back. Dovid Hamelech came up with the answer. He was thinking about what to do. I want to get Moshe Rabbeinu's Einikel back from being a priest to being an erlich. So he knew that he liked money. Kivin shira David shemamin chavav alav b'yoser. He saw this guy. Shmekt, git. He liked money. He put him in charge of all the treasury of Klal Yisrael. He put him in charge on the oitzers. That's the most coveted position. The bank. The money. That's the most important part of Klal Yisrael, right? The guy in charge of all the money. Can you imagine if Chaim Berlin says, you know what, we need somebody to be in charge of the dinner. Who should we do? And they pick the, Reverend whatever, who's shmad. That's just one yeshiva. This is the whole Klal Yisrael, the mint. All the money in the treasury. He's going to be in charge of Reverend Chaim O'Connor, right? That's what he did. Kivin Shira David Shemam Chavavulav. He looked. What is he like? What is he like? Let's make him chashuv and give him kavod to show him how proud we are. And what happened? It worked. He was called Shavuel. Shvuel ben Gershon ben Menashe naged ala eitzris. V'chi Shvuel Shemai. Was he called Shavuel? V'hal Yonason Shemai. He was called Yonason. So, and for the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he was called Shavuel Sheshav Lakel B'chalibai. So he took this guy. He didn't tell him, you got to go do tshuva, and then I'm going to make you the treasury. I promise you. Put on tefillin. He make a deal with him. He gave him tremendous kavod by all of the kingdom. He was in front by all the meetings. Right? He was in charge of the interest rates. Right? He was in charge of everything. In charge of all the money. You like money? The way you are. That's what Dovid Hamelech did. He gave him kavod. He built up the self-esteem of this kid who was now a very old man by giving him kavod. And it worked. Sheshav lakel b'chol liboy. Now, here's the interesting thing. You would think that, okay, now that he's already frum, and the Gemara is made, shav lakel b'chaliboy, now I could treat him like a regular guy. So many parents say, how long do I have to be nice to this kid? How long do I have to do this for? See, here's what happened. Shlomo Hamelech, David's son, took over, and for some reason he let him go. And he went back off the derech, and he went back to the priesthood, back to being a komer in charge of the money over there. So you see, he was mamash shav lakel, b'chaliboy, but he needed a crutch. He needed that crutch in order to be shav lakel. And when it was taken away for whatever reason, right back. So we learned so many things from this. They didn't give him musar and techacha. They didn't give him advice. Dovid Hamelech didn't try to bring him to the Eish Torah rabbi to speak to him. He didn't give him guilt. Do you know who your Zayda was? Right? None of that. He fixed the problem of the broken self-esteem, of the broken inside, the yucky part, by saying, you need kavod. I'm going to give you more kavod than they are. And that caused sheshav lakel, it's made, b'chaliboy. Imagine what we can do with our kids. Right? We have the other side, which is the professional world, telling us, no, you don't negotiate with terrorists. I agree, if the kid's a terrorist. But not if it's your kid. They know that our kids are hurt, and they still tell you, no, you don't give them money, and you make deals and contracts, and the opposite of what works. The Torah world says, Yinasu l'mashcham, ba'avoy said the Chazon Ish. V'loy l'tchoisem chalila. Chas v'shalom, God forbid, don't reject him. Look in his eyes when you talk to him. How does he feel? He feels rejected. You can't come to the house unless you this, and how come you this and that? Stop it. You're losing an opportunity to go ahead. Take this kid and put him in charge of your will. Put him in charge of the building campaign. Give them kavod. You'll see what'll happen. You'll turn on something internally inside of them, and be'ezus Hashem, they're all going to be shavla kel b'chalibai.